favorite noise. I hate that. Hey, everybody. I am Jack Devine, and welcome back to another episode of Jacksnax. Today, rather than talk about guitar playing, going to talk about guitars themselves. And I'm hoping that anybody tuning in will get a kick out of this, like I do. As much as I love playing the instrument, I must admit I just love the instrument itself. There's a certain uh, fascination and fetish I have with the object of the guitar. I don't know what it has been, but it has always been there for me, and I do love that element of it. And I have a feeling that most guitar players actually kind of share the same fascination with the instrument itself, not just with the music that we can make with it. So that leads us down this rabbit hole of constantly, comparing gear and trying to acquire gear and that sensation of the hunt, so to speak. So in in the effort to find a great instrument, you'll often find yourself comparing, three of the same guitar, the same model or something like that until you find the one. And every now and again, it pays off for you. You find something that you connect with. And, sometimes you connect with the guitar in the store, but you get it home, you plug it into your rig, it's kind of a bummer. There's all kinds of mitigating factors that make things a keeper or something that you're going to move on. So for the longest time, I was actually on the hunt for an SG, and I found one that hit all my sweet spots in terms of, how good it sounded and played and looked and felt in terms of the neck carve and the weight and all those, specifics. Um, and this one here is a 2022 Chicago Music Exchange 64 reissue. And one of the things I don't like about SGs is when they have the sideways vibrato on the 61s and the lyre, with the lyre on it and the little maestro vibrato. I don't really care for that, even though some of them, that's just cosmetically not digging it. And so, I ended up picking up this guitar and did a new guitar day kind of celebration with anybody who was prepared to enjoy it with me for the first day. In the interim, though, one of the benefits of being 1,000 years old and having lots of guitar nerd friends is I managed to, oddly very quiet. Is this better? Hey, is that better, Alex? Is that better? No, no, no. It could be me not talking directly into the microphone. Like, is that making things better? Or is the, hey, Alex, thanks for joining in. Thanks for helping me square things away. I can't tell whether or not, this thing is working out so great. I hate all this internet crap. You get basically a one shot. Tell me if that's working. Can you type in there? Let me know. We'll get things squared away for everybody. Not you, great here. Quiet here too. Okay, so let's try this. Any better? I have my phone volume maxed out, and yes, I can confirm you suck, Jack Devine. Much better already. Okay. Sorry, folks. I am not technically inclined, I guess, when it comes to the web stuff. Anyway, good news is I have a long and storied, you know, universe of guitar nerds, and one of my friends and former bandmates owns this beautiful SG standard from 1963. So almost the same guitar that I'm trying to acquire, except his has been modified to not have the tremolo on it that it came with originally. But this is the lyre thing that I was talking to you about. You can see the etching right here, and this guitar is in largely original condition. The integral elements of it are all intact. It has never had a headstock break. It has never had a neck joint break, so structurally intact. The finish has never been removed, so there's been no monkey business with any of the, wood being sanded to get to, refin or anything like that. And it is a glorious sounding instrument with an original set of pickups, which I would say is probably the most integral element of the instrument in terms of the difference. But the wood itself obviously does sound a little different, being, significantly older. We're talking about, 1963, so it's reasonable to assume this wood was, harvested in the 50s at some point in time. So think about that compared to this guitar from 2023, which is definitely made with as green wood as you could possibly get a hold of. The fact that this guitar is 6.5 pounds is pretty attractive. This one weighs maybe a few ounces more, and I don't think it's due to that. The big differences spec-wise, Brazilian rosewood here on this board. You can see it's kind of a smoother, shinier chocolate kind of look to the fingerboard. You can see it's kind of, and the pores are slightly smaller than on mine. But really, the difference is this guitar has had a chance to settle for many decades and be played. It's definitely swapped out some tuners over the years and been refretted, and been played and loved and settled in. But I figured folks might want to geek out on what it takes to, match this guitar with that. Like, is it even possible? Is it even possible? And the answer is no. Spoiler alert. No, the old guitars are incredible, and I've always found them to be different. Whether or not they're not the same anyway. Maybe you like the sound of this more, or the feel, but yeah, I mean, I love the SG look as well, and so I've set up 3 different profiles on the Kemper here today, and I figured I would run us through a pretty widespread palette of tones, and we could A/B both instruments and kind of see them opposite one another. I'll try to play similar-ish licks and give you guys an example of what I'm hearing in terms of the differences between these two they're both great guitars. So this guitar probably costs about, anywhere between 35 and 4 grand, depending on where you're getting it from. Play some Derek trucks. I don't play Derek trucks. So that's kind of a high gain sound with the volume turned down to about 8 or 7 on the bridge pickup with a little reverb. Just a little reverb. And that's kind of the Marshall's Jubilee. Kind of like a JCM 800 that they made for a couple of years to celebrate the Queen's birthday or something like that. And these amps are, slightly storied for, can I play Back in Black? Everybody keeps it. Right? Some. What is it? That kind of thing, right? I do not play Angus Young songs. I find him to be impossible to copy. His vibrato is just too aggressive for me. I never really bothered learning the song before because I don't own a humbucker guitar. Well, So basically with the guitar on tone on 5 and now on 10, we're getting this kind of sound. Kind of a nice, it's high gain Marshall. Add a little goo. Neck pickup. And let's try that. Let's try that with the old guitar. So don't forget, we started out here. That was with the guitar volume down on here. We'll do 7. Okay. Pardon the pops. There we go. So out with the newish and in with the old. And this guitar has a different neck carve. This one has a skinnier neck carve. It's a 63, So it's going to be technically different than what they say they were copying here. Now I had that at 7. So let's go. These are patent applied for, but they didn't apply for them. They're just called patent pickups. So these are the next iteration after they actually got the patent from the fabled PAF pickup. Okay, so here we are, same. Let's see. Not that the potentiometers are the same or anything like that, but we'll go with the same settings on the bridge pickup. Okay. That's on 7. I can already hear the difference, but is there a low voice volume? Well, yeah. I mean, God, everybody's just so fucking fussy. I'm trying to be professional about this, but I mean, it is fucking tough, I'll tell you. All right, here we go. Yeah, I mean, I can't get the mic close enough to my voice to keep the... God damn it, you guys. I'm trying to make everybody happy, but I'm failing miserably. All right, here we go. So, same setting, louder voice, I hope, everybody. Anyway, so... No, I didn't mean to get snarky. I'm sorry, I've just been kind of cranky lately. So I think everybody can hear the difference, though. This guitar has a more open tone to it. And by the way, that thanks. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be spooky. I didn't mean to be snarky. This one has a little bit less congestion in it. It's also straight up hotter. It's like, I don't know whether or not that's translating through, but when I play this into the speaker, this whole sound just goes woo and becomes like a step bigger in the lows and highs and gets louder. And the mids kind of stay stable. All right, and in addition to that, I don't know how it happens, but these pickups, maybe they're not, maybe they are potted, but the custom buckers in the reissue aren't, and so consequently at higher volumes with this much gain, we would be encountering on the bridge pickup, if the tone control comes north of 2 or 3, a fair amount of squeal. Okay, so here we are on 7. Now, if we come up to 10, it is significantly more beefy. Let's add a little goo. This thing is on fire in terms of the sensitivity. It's like every little bit of... So that's... that's the big boy. Let's check it out. Yeah, that's all through the Kemper Direct, by the way. I'm not using the actual speaker, which actually sounds a lot better than this. But for the sake of it sounding direct and punchy for folks out there, I definitely go with this sound. Okay, so let's change it up. Let's go to something clean and see how the guitar performs. Oh, let's go back for a second. One sound that is very different on this guitar is you may have noticed I did not play both together. So let's go back to the reissue here for a second. And you'll see one of my favorite sounds, and the one that I used in the more recent Goose video that I did on Hunger Site, which, by the way, if you haven't checked out and tried to learn, shame on you. This is a really, really great guitar playing on that tune. But so if we're here, okay, that's both pickups, 10 and 8. What happens is when both pickups are equal volume, right? I like the sound of rolling it down so it starts to be dominated by one or the other, right? You can hear it start to shift its bias to the bridge. It's even more profoundly observable when we're in a cleaner sound, like this kind of clucky sound disappears when we roll it down. See how direct and more like the bridge sound, but it's a little creamier because there's some of that in there. But when we're up here, gets that kind of clucky, telly sound, right? Well, anyway, with that in equal volume, okay, on the bigger high gain sounds, check out, don't forget, this is the reissue, okay? Now watch what happens when we go to the SG, like well, I guess this is I don't know if this was technically released as a Les Paul, because Les Paul broke off his endorsement with them over this model. Okay, same settings. Listen. This guitar's pickups are obviously wired out of phase. Very interesting. Instant Brian May, instant notched wah, kind of cocked wah sound. Kind of like the Peter Green mod that you find on some guitars, right? So really gives it that throaty nasal honk, cut like a Freddie Green blues tune, you know? Now volume drops though. But because it's so shrill in that one frequency band, it tends to cut just fine. Bridge, that was bridge, neck. Middle. Nasty sounding guitar up in there. Not everybody likes it, but watch, the second we roll it down, that phase cancellation disappears largely. Let's take it down a little bit. Anyway, really, really cool sound there. I don't know, pretty cool. Try in the middle. Really pretty cool. Can I play Iron Man? something like that, right? And then. Anyway, with that tone not rolled down, you get that woman tone. And then on the bridge, that was the bridge rather, neck rolled all the way down. A little smoother, obviously. Oh, that's the volume on 8. Right? Right? What is that? Right, you get that thing, except I can't get the Clapton vibrato that fast on the G string. So I'm doing, instead of his upward thingy, which is awesome. God damn, I love that thing. So that sounds pretty slick when you add a little bit more sauce to it, right? You get that kind of silky. Right, so you do that, and you can bring in a little bit more definition, I guess. Maybe a little bit more. Anyway, this guitar kills. This thing is awesome. Bridge pickup. This is, again, all rolled off. So if we take off all that super spacey stuff, we end up with more like that get your yayas out thing. Maybe a little bit of treble. That's kind of my preference. All right, so let's look at some other sounds, okay? So this guitar on clean, it's going to sound really weird when we come 10, 10, 10, 4 10s and share both pickups. It's going to be very nasally and thin. Not the most usable sound. So how do you square that circle, right? If you end up with a guitar like this, you can't really go changing stuff. These guitars are getting to be, north of $15,000. So tough. Okay, so let's see about that. Kind of went out of tune a little bit. Let's make it something dreamy. So it can work on these kind of more ambient sounds, but it's not my preference. To be honest, I feel like not having the middle pickup kind of instantly limits you. But I mean, that's not a progression that's like actually proprietary to anything, in my opinion. But it's kind of like I lit out from Reno. I lit out from Reno. We're just coming down the major scale, but so in a way, it's kind of connected to that "Friend of the Devil" song. It's also kind of like "Willin" by the Little Feat. Anyway, so if we're talking about playing, like we can't get at that bouncy sound quite the same. It's not so bad. It's just not my. It doesn't have quite the sparkle. So if I flip the proportions and go like that more. Yeah, still not really my jam. Maybe too much treble there. No. So that's kind of the one demerit. It depends on what kind of sounds you want to get at more often, or if there was some amazing way to have like a pull pot, conveniently installed without having to worry about it. Being able to get at that snarky, nasty middle sound is definitely something I would I would like to be able to get at on my own guitar. Because mine isn't a vintage instrument, I would definitely consider modding mine. Now, just to let you see what I'm talking about in terms of not having access to that clucky sound when we're doing that kind of sound. Just sounds a little bit more, I don't know. We've got access to all that clucky sound. Anyway, super dreamy sound, kind of a Radiohead type of effect there. But even if we were just playing clean, I wouldn't be prepared to give that up. I really like the sound of that. That kind of that. Hold on a second. Let's see what's going on in the comments section below here. Anyway, are folks digging this? I mean, normally I sit around and kind of like drive everybody mad with my ridiculousness here. Josh, okay, am I free to do a lesson? Oh, hey, that's cool. Let's see what I got cooking here today. Can't remember what I have. Yeah, I can do that. So yeah. My three. So you are witnessing me managing my business empire of guitar lessons. Somebody's asking me for lessons. So let's just confirm that, and then hey, there's a little bit more do re mi and the gear kitty. All right, so this is one of the advantages, in my opinion, of a modern guitar is that the pickups aren't wired in some funky ass way, and the people doing it it's just like that's just a little bit different. I don't know how come that one is like that. Maybe the magnet is backwards, or maybe something fucked up in the wiring. But this That sounds really nice to me. Oh, you did, Alex. Okay, well, yeah, you can. We should definitely talk about getting some lessons for you. No sweat. Would you mind sending a text to my phone number, 917-806-2601, and we'll do it from there. I'll say it again for you, 917-806-2601. Anyway, real pretty sound here, but it doesn't really translate so well to the vintage guitar, in my opinion. Just the tool itself is a slightly less integral, I think, to what's going on because of the effects and all that stuff. And this is just a clean Fender sound, which, I mean, this sounds really nice to me. But I will say that this guitar does not perform under gain the same way that that one does. And let's go to what would probably be everybody's kind of first thought is like a low-powered Marshall. So this is like a JTM 45 style simulation, and you can hear that it's a bright wound up sound. What we got here? Yeah, send me a hello text. That's fine. No worries. We'll verify online that you are. Anyway, so this is a JTM 45 with very low-powered speakers. That's what's being emulated here. So you'll actually hear, a little bit more cone. But it's a cleaner sound. Hey, I just got something from you. So thank you very much, Alex. I'll give you a shout when I'm done with my lessons, or today we can talk if you like. So neck. So kind of a old school, mid-level. So if we add a little bit of oomph to that, that's real classic. Bridge. You hear that slightly, when you hear that kind of sound, to me, that sound, when you hear that to me is where it's at. When you hear those pull-offs to the muted palm, when that gets nice and percussive, that's when I know I've got something really cool to work with. And this guitar is significantly improved there. So you can kind of hear that kind of percolating sound. When I feel that under my palm and coming out of the speakers, quote unquote, I mean, right now I'm hearing it through headphones. That percussive thing is what I really go for. That. So maybe it's more of a touch thing for like the player. Let's hear that on the new girl. It sounds okay, but there's just something special going on here. I'm not sure how to quantify it really, but it's definitely there. I don't know if it's worth 20 grand or whatever, $15,000. Oh, baby. All right, and now let's try that with a little bit more gain. Neck pickup, oh, so tubey. Has that nice little chirp on the top. Let's hear it with a little fuzz. Kind of like a Neil Young imploding kind of. Let's hear that with the new guitar, see how it handles. I mean, I told you at the beginning, it doesn't really compare in terms of an apples to apples type of situation. It's not nearly as good. I just don't know whether or not you can afford it. That's the thing. See how that just sounds kind of like clogged up a little bit in the mids? Let's get to that. Oh, well, that might help. I think I had the tone up a little. No, actually, I didn't. I had the tone right where it was. Shit. Anyway. Not really my favorite. Not between the two of them, anyway. I mean, it's good enough for sure. Anyway, I think that just about runs us through this whole thing. I mean, I'm not trying to knock this instrument in any way, but it does not have those intangible elements, a vibe and whatever. I hate the word mojo, but it's definitely doesn't have the same mojo as these older versions of the same thing. I'm not sure whether it's just settling or the materials or the craftsmanship or the electronics or a combination of all of them, or maybe it's confirmation bias. Maybe it's just me wanting to like the more expensive thing, you know, like we used to always rag on this one family member of ours that we were convinced ordered things off the menu by looking at the prices rather than what they were eating, because they would often order the most expensive thing on the menu but not enjoy eating it, and you wondered why did you why did you order that if you didn't know that you liked it already. And so I don't know whether or not I'm sitting here assigning value to something that is obviously is more valuable. I mean, but I'm definitely finding this guitar to be a better friend in terms of coaxing inspiration out of these old bones. I just don't have the zhing to swing this bad boy. But if I did, it would probably be in the, it would be 5 times more expensive than the guitar that I already bought. And I just don't have that kind of firepower monetarily anyway. Um, so that's kind of my rundown between new versus vintage. This guitar weighs a little bit more, maybe I don't know, 4 or 5 ounces more. It's a little bit less. See how this will tip into my crotch area? Look at that. Anyway, ladies, hello. Anyway, obscure. I'm gonna fig leaf with my phone. But this one here, if I put this here, it's see how it leans that way. Whoop, see, so this one's a little bit lighter, at least in the body. And the neck carve on this 63 is significantly more slender and sleek, which is actually harder to get. It kind of is initially kind of uncomfortable because it's wide still, but it's thin. So that's not for everybody. I'm okay with it, but it's not for everybody for sure. Hey, what's that question? It kind of disappeared. Let me get to it. I've wondered whether vintage instruments are truly superior to modern ones. Well, like I said, Alex, I'm of the mind that it is the case that the good ones are. I mean, they're shitty guitars made in every era. That's obvious. But um, my friend is fortunate enough to have bought this back when it was just a used guitar, right? You got to think about how absurd things have become in terms of the collectibles and things like that. I just can't justify it with 2 kids that have yet to go through college to throw that much money at something like that. Maybe when I was younger and had more disposable income and less people to take care of, and you know. So for now, this is going to be my guitar. I think that I would seriously consider upgrading my bridge pickup. That's the one thing. I've this whole experiment has brought me to that conclusion that a hotter potted bridge pickup is for me, because I miss being able to access those upper uh, higher gain sounds without the squeal. The microphonic pickup is kind of a bummer. Now, I know a lot of people say, "Oh, the original PAFs weren't potted," but the PAFs that I like the sound of, I guess, were because Eddie Van Halen used the PAF and he dunked it in paraffin wax and stopped it from doing exactly what I'm talking about. And I don't want to take off the cover, which I know is actually the root of the problem. Actually, is the vibrations that are happening between the pickup and the cover, and also the windings themselves need to be kind of gelled together with a little bit of wax. So I think I may actually buy a replacement pickup for this guitar. And other than that, I think it's actually a keeper. It sure does play well, and it sounds nice. It's just the voice of those pickups really that brings out this nice timbre to that instrument, and also unplugged. You can really hear the difference. Here, let me see whether or not you guys can. I'm going to put my mic down here. See if you can check this out. We'll do the same with the SG. I mean the old one. So this guitar, let me get the mic back up. I don't want anybody to complain. Anyway, the old guitar has like a slightly, whoops, it's tipping over on the stand. That's not good with that guitar. Has a slightly less congested low end. This guitar is like a little thicker and more robust in the beefy quality, but not necessarily a good thing. Anyway, I'm happy and proud to own this instrument, but obviously the lust that I spoke of earlier, the kind of that fetishization or fetishizing about instruments and antique or vintage instruments, unfortunately, continues. I gotta say, this is a hell of a thing. So, thanks to my friend for loaning this. If you're watching this, you know who you are. I'm not gonna say your name online, and I really do appreciate the loan. And everybody, I appreciate you taking the time to stop by and say hey and ask any questions if you want. And if you're interested in taking lessons from me, obviously, just like Alex asked about it, obviously, yeah, totally. Available. I work Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Usually business hours like 9 to 5 or something like that, and not on the weekends. All right. So I'll be back soon, and I really do appreciate everybody, subscribing and tuning in. All right. Thanks a lot. Much love to everybody. Have a great weekend and everything. All right. Take care.